Welcome to The Lab.
Oh!
Not anymore.
Down goes Frazier.
What's going on, all you brainiacs out there, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Fantasy Football Laboratory. I am your host, the King of Trade, Shane Palma, joined as always by Spitfire Lukas Parrish.
What's going on, guys?
And the chemist, Jack McGrath.
How's it going today? But Lucas, I swear that what gets higher and
Higher
higher
every time.
You
You say that.
impressive.
You say that every time. I appreciate
Because
it.
it gets higher every time.
Well, I practice it, right? I say that I have octaves that nobody else in the history of the world has ever had.
Really?
So I'm
Prove
pretty
it.
proud of that.
Prove it.
Oh, no. We already had enough mic troubles today. We do not
Don't
need
blow out a mic
anything
trouble.
else to happen
Blow
to
out the
mic.
window.
Oh, man. Jack, you and I missed the last episode. We had a fill-in. Eli Hoff
He
gave
kind
some
of killed
advice.
the game.
Did he?
He killed
I don't
the game.
know.
I thought he gave some great advice.
Because I didn't get to hear his advice. I hope that he was able to at least steer some people in the right direction.
You know, Eli is an expert in all areas.
Is he?
So, I mean, he's an A.J.
Swiss
Brown
Army
lover.
knife?
Absolutely. An A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts lover. I mean, how can you go wrong?
So he loves everyone that he drafted.
He does.
Okay.
He loves everybody
Just a
that
little bias.
he drafted that performs well for him.
There you go.
Makes
Okay,
sense.
that's fine. But we're back. We're back now. We're going to be able to get through... No, we're not. We're not getting through every game.
We'll
Come
do our
on.
best.
We literally try every single week, and it fails every single time. But we'll get right into it, because as always, we're going to break down basically what happened last week, and also use that to figure out what we think is going to happen this upcoming week. We'll start with Thursday Night Football tonight. For those of you listening, is the Dolphins taking on the Bengals.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Dolphins side of the ball. Looks like Tua's questionable going into this game. Jalen Waddle also questionable, but I think Jalen Waddle's going to play. I think Jalen Waddle should be fine. Nothing wrong with Tyreek Hill going into this one. The biggest question really is Tua and his status. Right now, he's my QB8 on the week. He's ahead of guys like Brady and Rodgers and Wentz and Mariota, some of those other popular
he's
streamers.
probably leading the MVP race
He's
right
been
now.
Yeah, he's close.
really great this past few weeks. Now he
has
gets
been.
the Bengals. Obviously, Bengals stifled the Jets last time out,
Oof,
but
it's a tough matchup for the Bengals.
it was Jets. I still think the Jets defense is good. Anyway, Tua this week, I still think he's a start. I think he's a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing that's a little bit concerning with Tua, and I know last week he got hurt, so last week is, 11.44 points is a little questionable, but he had that big 38-point week, 40-point week, and aside from that, 14.8 points, 11.4 points. I don't know. I haven't seen the consistency that I want out of Tua yet. Obviously, I don't hate putting him as a start. I mean, the receivers he has around him alone are going to allow him to put up those massive
But what
games.
consistency really have you seen out of almost any
No,
quarterback
I was
this
gonna
year?
say,
I
that's
mean,
the big thing.
more than any quarterback out of almost any position. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of busts that there have been this year. It feels like way more than ever, especially running backs and quarterbacks.
And out of the quarterback position, I mean, if I'm looking at quarterbacks right now that I'm safe at like a 20-point floor with, it's Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and maybe Patrick Mahomes.
No, Jalen Hurts.
And Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, too.
That 4 is it.
But that's about it. And then after that, if you can have a guy who you think could get 40 points, and that's Tua Tagovailoa right now, you're going to put him in your lineup.
Like, I'm still not starting Tua over Kyler Murray. I'm not starting Tua over Justin Herbert still.
No.
I still think Justin Herbert...
Even with Justin Herbert's injury?
I still think Justin
Yeah.
Herbert is the
I
more
don't-
talented.
I don't disagree,
And
yeah.
Keenan Allen looks like he's going to be coming back this week. We talk about the Chargers in a little bit. But, I mean, I have Tua above someone that's been as, honestly, horrible as Russell Wilson. I have Tua above Russ this week.
Yeah.
I can't...
Absolutely.
Russ is my
I
QB 10,
look,
and it's
Russ,
gross.
I still have Russ in my starting lineup this week, but possibly only this week. I mean, he's going up against the Las Vegas Raiders, who have, 30th ranked defense against quarterbacks? Something atrocious. If he doesn't put up numbers this week, Trevor Lawrence is getting that starting spot on my team. And I'm going to send him a DM on Instagram saying that.
Are you?
Give him a little bit of incentive, absolutely.
I feel like that's what we're supposed to teach people not to do.
Oh, not to? Oh, whew, man, I've been doing this wrong. I have been doing this wrong.
Lucas came in today. He's like, I'm the funny one on the podcast.
You
So
did
now
say
he's
that.
Now he's trying to
That
make
was
jokes.
twice. That was twice tried to. Okay, all right.
I'm
I
pretty
see you.
funny,
I
that's
see
all I'm
you.
They
saying.
have to land for it to be funny.
Oh, thanks, Jack.
Let's go to the Bengals side of the ball real quick. Obviously, you're going to start Jamar Chase. T. Higgins, for me, still a top 15 wide receiver start this week. Joe Mixon struggled really the past 2 games, it seems like, after a very heavy usage in week 1. Now going into week 4, it's a short week. He was questionable. He left that game, but he's going to be good to go tomorrow. Do you guys think it's a top 10 week for Joe Mixon? I have him as my RB7 right now against this defense.
The volume's there, and you can't really doubt the volume. I mean, he's going to get the carry numbers, and he's going to have a decent receiving floor, so you'll take that with Joe Mixon. The offense is good enough. They're going to need to start putting up more points than they are. This should be a shootout against Miami. I'm okay with Joe Mixon.
It should be a good game. Thank God. This is a good Thursday night game.
And Joe Mixon right now is averaging under 3 yards per carry. That's not going to continue the rest of the season.
I mean, the offensive line is a concern, right?
It's
atrocious. We are concerned about the offensive line, but I feel like the Bengals as a whole are turning the ship around, right? It was a rough 0-2 start. Got the win against the Jets. I don't think they're going to beat the Dolphins tomorrow, truthfully, but I think they're going to put up enough of a fight tonight. Of course, tonight. Because this is
Thursday.
Tonight. However, I do think that they are turning a corner in which the offense and defense can both collectively put up enough of an effort where we're not as concerned anymore.
The offensive line isn't worse than last year, right? The Bengals' offensive line was terrible last year, and it's on a similar...
pretty bad, even though it got better. It was pretty bad.
And it's on a similar level this year, and Joe Mixon averaged 4.1 yards per carry last year. He's not going to lose a yard and a half per carry from that offensive line. He's going to improve, and he's going to start putting up better yard numbers.
You said it before, the volume is there. You know, I have people asking me in these TikTok lives that I do, what should I get for Joe Mixon? There are hardly any other running backs out there right now that are going to have that usage that Joe Mixon has.
You can't honestly, you can't trade any running backs right now.
No.
There are very few situations because no matter what, you're trading low for trading low. Unless you feel really confident that one of the running backs who isn't producing is going to end up producing better than your running back who isn't producing because no running backs are producing. Just don't trade. I mean, you just kind of have to ride the ship out at this point and maybe try and go get more wide receivers.
Great segue here into the London game in the morning of Sunday. We have the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Saints. Two basically first-round running backs on both sides that have been extremely disappointing so far. Let's start with the guy who's coming into this game banged up. That's Dalvin Cook.
Both of them are going in banged up.
Yes, but Dalvin Cook did have the injury that dislocated shoulder. He's going to wear a brace or something like that. I know this isn't a new issue for Cook. He's dealt with this before. However, I still just feel like I can't keep him out of the top 12, right? Like, he's 12 for me right now. But I just don't see a situation in which this week, on a trip to London, with Alexander Mattison healthy and fresh, that they don't do a 50-50 split.
It's going to be at least a 50-50 split.
That's my concern.
More Madison than Cook this.
I understand that it's tough to put Dalvin Cook out of the top 12, but I'm very comfortable putting Dalvin Cook out of the top 12.
Would you be comfortable trading Dalvin Cook right now?
No. I wouldn't be comfortable trading anybody right now.
What am I going to get?
What am I going to get?
Asking.
I don't know what to do with all my underperforming players.
Yeah.
Get ones that are performing well.
Yeah, great. Which ones? Tell me who's performing.
Now's the time to go get Alexander Mattison, though, because on the projections and everything, it still basically looks like Dalvin Cook's going to play. I'm very unsure still if he's going to play it in practice today. So if Alexander Mattison is available on your waiver wire or for trade, I mean, if you throw a wide receiver 3 for Alexander Mattison, you could get RB1 production for a couple of weeks here, and I'm definitely throwing that out there.
Let's talk about Alvin Kamara, though. Jack, you are a Kamara owner in our league right now. What is your level of concern with him going into this game?
It's not as big as you would think it would be. So there's a couple of things here. First off, he didn't look healthy last week. He looked probably at about 75% at best. I'm not confident he was fully healthy last week. Mark Ingram probably took more carries than he usually would from Alvin Kamara. So I think he's going to have more volume going forward, and the running volume is still there for Alvin Kamara. The biggest thing is the passing game, and he's not involved in the passing game right now.
Which was written on the wall before the season
when
started.
Jameis Winston came in. But the offense isn't moving the ball either. Like, the offense for New Orleans right now is brutal. Jameis is missing guys. The receivers, aside from Olave, I guess, are struggling right now.
Michael Thomas is doing pretty well.
Michael Thomas is doing well, but it's not like he's scoring actual points out of it.
He's
for
also
his
questionable
team.
going into this game, and so is Jarvis Landry. The only healthy real wide receiver one right now there is Olave.
And Olave might see 15 targets.
They need to move the ball on offense. How are they going to do that more efficiently? It's give the ball to Alvin Kamara.
Right.
Everybody knows that. That's going to happen eventually.
But does the head coach know that?
He'll figure it out. I would hope. Fingers crossed. But eventually they're going to have to start getting the ball in his hands more.
Is Olave a top 15 wide receiver if Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas are out this week?
I'll give him top 20 for sure.
I mean, this man has seen 13 targets in, back-to-back games now?
Yep.
I think it's about time people start to realize what he's doing there in New Orleans and put a little respect on Chris Olave's name. Let's get to the game of the week now. The New York Jets taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. How crazy. The Jets are always the game of the week. Can you believe that? They're always the game of the week.
Boy.
Zach Wilson makes his long-awaited triumphant return to the team. What does this mean for the rest of the offense? Well, I can tell you what it means.
Oh, thank you, Shane.
I'd be happy
I was going to, but I'm glad that you're taking it.
Yeah, I'll take the reins on this one. Listen, Elijah Moore's been getting open. You know who hasn't been getting him the ball? Joe Flacco. I think things are going to start to change. I think we're going to see a little bit more of an uptick in the volume and the touches for Elijah Moore. What does that mean for Garrett Wilson? I still think he's the team's wide receiver one. We're going to have to see what type of chemistry Zach Wilson can create, really, with Garrett Wilson, because he didn't get to practice with him much. He didn't get to play with him much, obviously, in the preseason. The one constant that you're going to see on this team, regardless of who's at quarterback, is the tight end Tyler Conklin, who is a locked and loaded top 10 tight end for the rest of the season. It's Joe Flacco, it's Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson created incredible chemistry with Conklin during the offseason and a little bit of the preseason when he was playing in that Philadelphia Eagles game. So I expect this Jets offense, really the biggest question mark with the Jets still is the running back position. Joe Flacco was adamant about getting the ball off, I say quick, but it wasn't really as quick as I'd like. Breece Hall had like a ridiculous amount of targets over the last 3 weeks. I don't see that sustaining. I would believe that Michael Carter will eventually take a hit in his volume in favor of running the ball with Breece Hall because he is their better and more efficient runner. And that's my evaluation of the Jets team.
Okay, thank you.
Solid. You nailed every single point. I mean, I'm not entirely... Michael Carter's not bad, and so is Breece Hall, but...
Yeah, I mean...
And Breece Hall's the running back's own.
Tyler Conklin, someone who has been available on a lot of my waiver wires.
Still available in some of my leagues.
Still, if Tyler Conklin is on your waiver wires, pick him up. I don't care if you need a tight end or not, because somebody needs a tight end.
Tyler Conklin is great.
He's 25% rostered in ESPN. He's the tight end 3 on the season. Yeah, Tyler Conklin is absolutely somebody that needs to be picked up in every single league.
Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Najee Harris coming to this game. A lot of people also asking me if they should be trading away Najee Harris. Lukas, you're the Najee Harris owner in our league. Talk to me about how you feel about Najee Harris going into this game against the Jets. Is this a wake-up call here?
I feel very meh about Najee Harris at this point.
That's what you're getting out of him right now.
And I feel meh about every running back at this point. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, what I'm going to get. I don't want to trade Najee Harris because I don't know who I would trade him for. I don't know what running back I want to go out and get, right? I mean, what? Do I go out and try and get Clyde? No. Do I go out and try and get James Robinson? No, I don't know who I would want to go get.
Pretty good.
Yeah, but Nick Chubb again.
Touchdowns.
Lack of receiving floor is going to mean Nick Chubb's going to be inconsistent. Najee Harris, at the very least, has been consistent. We just haven't seen a ceiling. I'm hoping we see a ceiling at some point. But if he's going to get me 10 to 15 points a game, you can't hate that out of your RB2 position. The problem is if you draft him as your RB1, then that creates more problems.
I'm going to say it might get worse before it gets better for Najee Harris. So Cincinnati, it's a fine matchup week 1, but he still didn't produce. New England's a really solid front 7. Cleveland's a really solid front 7. And he's going to get the Jets, who are, I'd say, an above-average front 7.
Thank you.
Yep. Buffalo, who's a much more than
we'll
better
see
than
who's
average
healthy that week,
front 7. And then Tampa Bay, who's probably the best defense in the league right now. And then he gets Miami, then he gets Philadelphia, then he gets...
Philadelphia's a tough matchup. This is going to be rough sledding for Najee Harris. Buckle in or get off now.
And then it's in Cincinnati and Indianapolis. Now that I'm looking down the line, I might trade him at this point.
I just don't know who I would trade him for. I don't know who I would trade him for, and I'm just going to hope that they start to get him more involved in the passing game, and I'll pray for some touchdowns. I don't give a darn if he puts up 2 yards per carry. If he also gets 4 receptions and a touchdown, he's going to put up a solid.
Would you package Najee Harris and a mid-range wide receiver 2 in exchange for Saquon Barkley?
Yes.
Yep. I would package a lot of things for Saquon Barkley at the moment.
That's where
there are exceptions to my whole don't trade your running backs, and Saquon Barkley is one of those exceptions. I would go out and get.
Would
Saquon
you say
Barkley
the same thing for Dalvin Cook?
No, I would not go out and get Dalvin Cook.
No, I mean
Oh, the
It's similar
package.
trade.
I would not pack it. No,
I would package that.
You wouldn't.
I would not.
Why not?
I still am more of a believer. I think Dalvin Cook's hurt right now, but I'm more of a believer in Dalvin Cook matching Saquon Barkley season 1. I don't want to throw in an extra wide receiver. I think they're going to be. I think those two guys are going to regress a little bit closer. I don't know if Najee.
I
does
disagree
that.
strongly with that take. I would absolutely do it. I'd be more willing to do it with Cook than Najee.
Let's move on to the next game here because I'm looking at it. We probably spent too long on the Jets. The Seahawks are taking on the Detroit Lions. Here's a really interesting storyline going into the game. Doesn't look like DeAndre Swift is going to play. What does that mean? Jamal Williams, who really has been secretly killing it this year,
He has
regardless of who's on the field with him or not on the field, he's been awesome. He's my RB11 this week.
Yep.
That's fair, especially with Swift out.
If
Yeah.
Swift's out, he's an RB1, no question.
Against the Seahawks, plus matchup. Amon-Ra St. Brown is also questionable going into this game. I mean, Seahawks defense is one that if I'm looking from an offense perspective, I'm trying to target. I don't really want to start Chark. Like, I mean, if I had St. Brown and I needed a wide receiver in a pinch and Chark was out there, I guess I could make the case for going to get him. I mean, Hawkinson's probably a pretty big beneficiary if for some reason St. Brown were to miss any time. But besides that, rest of the Lions' offense.
I mean, Josh Reynolds, but I think he's also questionable, isn't he?
If no Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm not starting Goff this week. I'll tell you that much. I don't really think it would be worth it. I mean, Goff is
Are you starting Goff if Amon-Ra plays?
I mean, a lot of people ask, and yeah, I think he's a streamable quarterback. Like, I have Goff above Aaron Rodgers and Matt
fair.
Stafford this week.
Yeah. I'm with
So
that.
but that's on the status of the other
Amon-Ra St.
yes,
Brown.
Yes.
Yep.
That is a big indication there. In terms of the Seattle Seahawks, we've seen plenty of inconsistencies with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and just the running back room there that has been overall a mess, which kind of we could have predicted for fantasy football. I know Homer went on the IR, still got Walker, still have Penny there. However, I do want to hone in on the wide receivers here. DK Metcalf right now going into this week, looking at my rankings, let me pull up the wide receivers here. He is my wide receiver 25. So behind guys like Brandon Cooks and Gabe Davis, but still ahead of a Terry McLaurin or Rashad Bateman. Detroit's been a tougher matchup for wide receivers this year. Is DK Metcalf someone that you're looking to trade away?
Detroit's been 25th against wide receivers this year.
Oh, have they?
They've allowed a lot of points.
Well, yeah, but let's look at how they fared against wide receiver ones this year, and that's the big
better
deal. I mean, you look.
They
at
shut down Justin Jefferson. AJ Brown did pretty well against him week 1, but I mean Terry McLaurin. I guess I don't know who you consider the wide receiver 1 on Washington. Probably McLaurin. But they have fared well against wide receiver 1s, even though they haven't fared well against wide receivers as a whole.
Yes. So DK Metcalf, someone that, along with Najee Harris, I feel like if you're in on the ride, you have to be able to endure this roller coaster of a season with these inconsistencies that are going to come. Is that something that you're willing to swallow this season in your starting lineup?
It's dual-sided because the volume's still there. He had 12 targets last week.
Yep.
Like, there's not a lot of receivers out there who are getting 12 targets on any given night, and especially with his talent, it's going to start coming eventually. Now, he had 17 points last week. Like, you're okay with that for DK Metcalf.
I would say so.
You don't want that to be his ceiling, certainly. Is it looking like it's close to his ceiling? Probably. But at this point, you ride it out with DK Metcalf. He got that 7-point floor just because the volume's there. You gotta. I don't know what else you're going to get for him at this point, and your team might be in trouble if you do try to trade him low.
I mean, if you're looking for straight up swaps, right? Like, do you believe in the DK Metcalf this season being what maybe it's a 20-point ceiling on any given week, or that we're going to see a huge turnaround from the Carolina Panthers and you would want DJ Moore?
Oh, no.
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 Don't want DJ Moore. Now, but the wide receiver on the Seahawks I do want to talk about is Tyler Lockett.
Go for it.
2 back-to-back weeks of 11 targets, and unlike DK Metcalf, his targets are turning into completions at a significantly higher rate. Back-to-back weeks of 9 receptions, 19.7 and 16.6 points. I mean, Geno Smith's a new quarterback, right? It's not Russ. We knew with Russ what we were getting with Tyler Lockett. But Tyler Lockett's a very talented receiver, so is this going to be a more 50-50 split going forward? It's what it looks like right now.
Which is great. I mean, it's
So is Lockett a safe startable wide receiver 2 week in and week out? Is it possible that
he's safer
Lockett
than DK.
and Metcalf are both startable
not
wide receiver 2s?
twos? No.
Really? You don't?
No.
I mean,
I
Lockett-
thought-
Top 24 wide receiver, I'll pass. I can't. There's too
Yep.
many good wide receivers. Like the fact that we had
That's
the conversation just a minute ago, if Olave is in that top 20 range. Like, you're pushing someone else out that probably should still be in there.
Yeah.
The amount of receivers this year in the 10 to 20 point range that are going to average around there and put that up consistently on a week-to-week basis is out of this world.
We
Which
say
is
that,
why
we say
running
that
backs-
every
complete
year.
opposite for
Yeah.
running backs.
Which
Yeah.
is why the good running backs are still extremely valuable when you can get them,
Yep.
because that's really what's going to be the difference maker. That and obviously an elite tight end, which we're seeing again this year, but those running backs that are able to provide you with a 20-point week to pair with two other wide receivers that are getting you close to 20 points, that's going to be the key, and that's going to be the difference maker there. Let's move on to the next game. We'll go to the other New York team. The Giants are taking on the Chicago Bears. In this game, David Montgomery, questionable right now, Jack. If he doesn't play, I think Khalil Herbert could push for a top 15 running back play this week.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Easily.
The volume's going to be there for Khalil Herbert. The Bears aren't throwing the ball. Justin Fields has thrown, 24 times over the first 3 games of the season?
They're not. I don't get it.
They're going to hand the ball off. Khalil Herbert's going to run, and he's going to run well against the Giants. I'm pretty confident that Khalil Herbert's an RB1 in my opinion this week.
Can we talk about Mooney, though? Because he's someone that is still so extremely talented that I didn't end up getting him. I didn't end up drafting him in any of the leagues, right? He was like a late 6th, early 7th, in some cases maybe an 8th round pick, and I always just I just missed him. Now he's becoming available in some of my leagues, and as someone that doesn't own him, if I did, I would still be hesitant to drop him because of that pure talent. Similar situation with Elijah Moore, right, with the quarterback play and certain circumstances, but Darnell Mooney is this team's number 1 wide receiver. That's the difference, right? Elijah Moore's kind of been overtaken by Garrett Wilson for that spot, and that's why we've seen a little bit dip in production. But Darnell Mooney's the unquestioned guy here. And it still feels like, who's safer is Equanimous St. Brown is almost the guy. And that's only because he's averaging 7 points per game, which is still more than Mooney.
Yeah.
So I just need
Mooney's
to
averaging
understand.
2.
Yeah, I need to understand what I need to do with Darnell Mooney, because in my gut, really,
It's time. You got to drop him off. I don't think the Bears passing game is going to get much better than it is right now.
I don't think there's going to be a single Bears pass catcher that has a fantasy relevant season unless something drastic changes. I mean, I wouldn't pick him up right now.
They need to throw the ball. They're not doing that. The pass catcher, you need to throw the ball for the pass catchers to catch the ball, and it's not happening right now. And even when they are throwing the ball, it's not like Fields has been phenomenal. He's missing guys downfield. He's still not his usual, what we expected coming out of college for him just to be an absolute stud. He hasn't been that yet. He's 23 of 45. His completion percentage this year is barely over 50%. He's only thrown for 297 yards on the season.
That's 3 games.
The top pass
it's like a
catchers
third
you
of
would
what Tua did in one game.
exactly.
Yeah,
The top pass
Mahomes
catchers
did
you
that
would
in a
hope
game.
would have 297 yards at this point of the year. That's just not happening.
So done with Mooney.
Done with Mooney.
I'm done with Mooney.
Wow.
Yep.
2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions
It's-
for Fields so far this year.
It's like if Allen Robinson but on steroids. Like Allen Robinson.
He was on this team. He probably gave him the steroids.
He probably did. He probably did.
Gosh, dang. I really... If he's I'm going to stash him. Right? I can't. I'm going to take the bait. If he's dropped in a league that I'm
If
in...
you got a spot,
and I
sure.
got a spot... Because I'm picking up guys like Zay Jones. Zay Jones is good.
Yeah.
Zay
Oh,
Jones
I
has been
love
Are you
great.
Zay
dropping
Jones.
Zay Jones for Darnell Mooney though?
No!
No, I don't know if I can.
I love
and
Zay
that's
Jones.
and that would you
We'll
rather
get to him.
would you rather grab Darnell Mooney over Richie James?
Boom, here we go. Great transition
Thank
right
you.
there, because that's what we're going to talk about right now. The Giants also have nobody. Kadarius Toney didn't practice on Wednesday. Wan'Dale Robinson's not practicing anytime soon. I mean, Daniel
Sterling Shepard's
Bellinger
done.
has been one of their best pass catchers, the rookie tight end, this past season. And now Sterling Shepard has a torn ACL. Prayers up to him. Hopefully a good recovery there. But Richie James is the guy to get. I picked him up. It feels like I feel like I did something wrong. I was like, oh my God, I just got Richie James. Like, no one else tried to get him.
Yeah.
There, I just got him like that.
So
So
it's Richie James.
I
Who's
know,
heard of Richie
but
James?
he is
no
this
offense to
team's
Richie James.
number 1 wide receiver. Not number 1 option. That's still obviously Saquon, someone that is a top 5 running back every single week now. But yeah, Richie James feels like he is one of my favorite sleeper plays this week for someone that you can plug in and maybe not feel great, but feel good enough where it's like he can get me 10 points.
So answer
That's
my
all you
question. If you're staring at Mooney and Richie James, who you taking? You're taking Richie James.
Yeah.
Season long, I would take Mooney. I would.
Okay.
I would, because I do think the Giants
That's fair.
are going to have to realize that, you know what, we're going to have to use Kadarius Toney eventually the right way when he's healthy. And same with Wan'Dale Robinson. They'll get him out there and they'll get him going.
Oh, what about Kenny Galladay, too, who they still have on the roster?
I like how we just completely faded him from this conversation.
Kenny Galladay is, I mean, he was so good on the line.
It's Richie James.
6'5" targets, and this week they're going to have nobody. So
I'll take Richie James as a big sleeper this week against the Bears. All right, let's move on now. Tennessee Titans against the Indianapolis Colts. Robert Woods, resurgence, Bobby Trees.
I hope not, because I just traded him.
You just traded him to me.
But it's okay. I feel good about
that. But it was nice to see them finally kind of get going a little bit. Derrick Henry get going a little bit in this Titans offense. Waking up, I know, I don't know if it was Vrabel or one of their coaches, maybe their offensive coordinator, said they need to get Treylon Burks more involved. Is Treylon Burks someone that you're starting or stashing this week?
I think I'm stashing him still. I'm still not 100% confident in that Tennessee offense. And also they play Indianapolis this week, whose defenses fell off a little bit from last year, but it's still a pretty good gosh darn.
I mean, it kind of shut down the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm okay stashing him this week. I don't think he's going to get the start. Probably doesn't even get the start until after the bye for me.
I'll say that the Chiefs against the Colts has historically not gone well. We have a bad history a recent history against the Colts. Treylon Burks, though, not starting him. I need to see more. I mean, we talked the first 2 weeks. His target per route run was phenomenal. This past week, he got the start for the Titans. Ran as many routes as anybody, 2 targets.
Right.
So I'm going to need to see a little bit more before I start, being okay with that. Robert Woods, though, I mean, we're liking it. I mean, 2 targets to 5 targets to 9 targets.
Are you selling high?
High is a relative term. Probably not. I don't know. At this point, you're still probably selling.
He's a fringe wide receiver 3 / high upside. I say high upside, but wide receiver 4, right?
Yeah.
Like in that range.
I don't even know if I'd go as far as wide receiver 3 yet.
You don't think he's a top?
I mean,
36?
if every once in a while he's going to get
maybe he's a top
almost
40.
double-digit
He's top
targets.
40.
Yeah, probably.
Jack, you get
I'll give him top 40.
Maybe top 40 on a good day.
Yeah, I'd still take Jacoby Myers over him though.
Really? I wouldn't with Brian Hoyer.
Oh, not with.
We're
Brian
gonna get
Hoyer.
to that.
Not with. Hoyer.
We're gonna get to that. Just quickly for the Colts side, Jonathan Taylor missed his first ever NFL practice today with a toe injury. Sorry, Wednesday. I don't know if he practiced on Thursday yet, but he missed it on Wednesday. They said that he's gonna be fine. He's gonna play this week. Pittman's gonna be good. He'll start this week. That's really all I care about when it comes to the Colts.
Toe soreness? What does that even mean? Did he stub his toe?
Turf toe, dude. But turf toe.
No, don't tell me turf toe.
They would have said turf toe.
It would have been turf toe.
Probably.
We wouldn't know. Toe soreness.
Dude,
yes.
stubbing your toe hurts. You ever
flexing
done it
out.
right on a corner of a bedpost?
Maybe that's what he did. It could have been maybe something with his nail or something.
Yeah.
We don't know. I don't need to get into the gory details of a toe injury there.
My sister one time cracked one of her toenails. Both of her toenails. Was out of tennis for like months.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Months. It was bad.
Man.
Just the toenail. She broke a toenail.
Okay, well, prayers for Jonathan Taylor's toenails.
Yep.
The Browns are taking on the Falcons, and guess what? Amari Cooper has been excellent this year so far, which is crazy to say. It's crazy to say. And, I think that's someone that you're looking at as a top 20 wide receiver.
Pick.
It's about time that Amari Cooper is finally putting up the consistent fantasy production that he, should have had last year. Should have had the past 3 years with Dak Prescott, and just hasn't had the opportunity to get it. He's
Jacoby
finally
Brissett
getting
was
the
always the
targets.
guy.
Apparently, the targets are
He is
there.
him.
He's awesome, and he's getting Atlanta this week. This is gonna be fun for
it's gonna
Amari
be nice.
Cooper.
You know who I have above Amari Cooper, though?
Is it Drake London?
It is Drake London.
Drake London has been phenomenal. Again, I feel like every year, at least maybe not every year, the last 2 years, last year and this year, and the year before that, there were just some like rookie wide receivers, like a bunch of rookie wide receivers who were shockingly good. And this year, I mean, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave, Jahan Dotson a little bit,
It's awesome to see how great really Drake London has been and how startable he's been in fantasy football. Like, I'm in a few leagues right now where, you start 2 wide receivers, start 2 running backs, start 1 flex, and just based on roster construction, I can't get Drake London into some of my lineups. Like, I have like Cooper Kupp, AJ Brown, and the flex is taken up by Marquise Hollywood Brown, and it's like, where does Drake London fit?
That must be nice.
In this, right? It is. Really
You know who I'm starting in our league this week?
I do.
We talked about this before.
Greg Dortch.
I'm starting Greg Dortch,
Which I like.
Zay Jones, which I'm okay with, and I'm starting
Try-
Adam Thielen as my number 1 wide receiver
Trying to
this
convince
week.
yourself that it's okay.
He
Yeah.
is. It's like, if only it was, what was
Listen.
it, 4 years ago?
All of those guys can put up 15 points this week, and if they do that, I'm okay. Like, Dortch could easily put up 15 points. Thielen put up 18 last week, and his target numbers are increasing. And Zay Jones, Zay Jones is an anomaly, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
But-
St. Jones is like throwing a dart at a
I'll trade
dartboard.
He
you
had
Robert
25
Woods.
last week.
I'll trade you Robert Woods.
No, I
A little
don't.
bit more
You want
consistent.
Jacoby Myers?
No, not with Brian Hoyer.
The Falcons, besides Drake London, it's been Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts finally broke out of that, I would say, mini slump. I honestly think that we're about to see Kyle Pitts fully break out.
Yep, absolutely.
I think
Your
last
window-
week was a preview. I think the buy low window is almost
Closing
closed,
fast.
if not closed already. I took advantage of it after the first 2 weeks.
I
I
tried.
swooped in and I scooped him up where I needed a tight end because it was apparent that they needed to get him the ball if they were going to win football games. And I think we're going to see his usage continue to ascend this week. I am expecting. You know what? I demand double-digit targets. I don't expect anything.
He demands it.
I demand it in favor of
it.
Kyle Pitts. Tell Kyle Pitts that I demand him to get 10 targets.
I'll tell their head coach for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Pass that message along.
I'm also going to say it on that Falcons offense. I think Cordero Patterson, he's a top 10 running back the rest of the season.
He's
He could
12
crack
for me
top
this
5.
week.
Yeah.
He's 12.
He's getting an insane amount of touches, and he's been productive with them.
Just
And
like we all predicted.
Going back to last year, he's keeping it up. We didn't think he would keep it up, and he is.
I don't understand how nobody was able to unlock this Cordero Patterson. It took till he was in his 30s to be a good running back. That's unbelievable.
Someone sent me some trade. I don't know if it was Najee Harris or someone else, but it was like, would you trade... I'm just going to use Najee Harris as a placeholder. It was like Najee Harris for James Robinson and Patterson. And I was like, how could you not take that right now?
I would take that.
Patterson and Robinson right now.
Especially
It was
with
I don't know if it was
The
Najee.
schedule for Najee right now, like
I don't remember if it was Najee or it was one of those running backs that we have on our big board here that went in the first round. Maybe it was... It wasn't McCaffrey, but it was one of those guys. And it was like, should I trade him for these two? It was Robinson and Patterson.
Ventures,
I said
yes.
And I said yes. I
Yep.
said I don't know how you couldn't do that.
You have to do that.
Let's move on
Maybe.
now to the
Except
Chargers
maybe McCaffrey.
taking on the Texans. We're still stuck on these 12 o'clock games right now. This is absolutely wild. Chargers. There's a lot of. Is it too many 12 o'clock games?
It's a lot of 12 o'clock.
There is a lot of 12 o'clock games this week. The Chargers taking on the Texans. What do you need? We're gonna hit on some players here when it comes to these games. What do you need to see out of Austin Eckler this week?
Receptions, I think, is the main thing. No, Austin Eckler needs to keep it up. He's been solid. The receptions have been there. But honestly, actually, probably flipping it. I shouldn't have probably jumped to receptions. The carries have been way
He
too
has
low
80 rushing
for
yards on the
Austin
season,
Eckler.
just so
That's
you know.
ridiculous. Only 4 carries last week. The game script's not going to be the same as it was versus Jacksonville. I mean, it obviously flipped on them. Jacksonville went up early. LA had
Offensive
to
linemen
throw
are
the ball.
going down there.
But we're seeing a floor. We're seeing a floor for Austin Eckler, which is okay because even in the worst game scripts possible for a running back, he's still having those targets and receptions where he's going to be able to put up legitimate points for you. So I'm not really that concerned. This week should be a good week for
He's
him.
averaging like less than 2.5 yards per carry.
Yes. Actually, exactly 2.5.
Exactly 2.5. Unbelievable.
I am of the position where I feel like it was way too, maybe not improbable. Austin Eckler wasn't going to repeat last season.
Yep.
That's the issue here, is that 20 touchdowns didn't seem feasible or possible again. And I think that's what was kind of put into his draft position there to be taken even above a guy like Derrick Henry,
Yep.
who I would...
He went above Christian McCaffrey in our league.
And I would still take Derrick Henry season long over Austin Eckler at this point. I don't know if there's much debate to that. I mean, unquestionably take Saquon season long over Austin Eckler at this point. Not too much debate about that. There are definitely some concerns when it comes to Austin Eckler. Two things could happen this week, and both of which could have very big consequences or benefits to your fantasy team. The first being Austin Eckler breaks out, he has 25 plus points. You end up winning your week because your RB1 just did what your RB1 should do. That's number one. Number two is Austin Eckler has less than 12 carries against the Houston Texans in a game where the Chargers score a lot of points, and maybe Joshua Kelly and Sony Michel score touchdowns, and then it ends up being Austin Eckler just regressed to being in a committee where he might not even be the lead back.
That would really stink.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is where fantasy football for a team like this, it's going to come to a head on Sunday, and you're going to have to make the decision before the game. Are you in on Austin Eckler or are you out? Because if you're in, you think he's going to do well this week, he's going to put up those points, you're not going to worry about it. If you're out, you got to get out now.
Yeah.
Because if he ends up putting another one of these games up against the Houston Texans, you just lost half of his trade value. Half of his trade value is gone like that. Each case and each circumstance is different for what you can get for him and what you can trade him for. But I'm putting this out there now. If Austin Eckler doesn't do well this week, you just lost more than maybe your week, but also your first-round pick because that value has taken a big hit. All right, let's move on from this game because there's not much I need to say about the Houston Texans, really. You're starting Brandon Cooks in most circumstances, and Dameon Pierce is a nice RB2, low-end RB2 start this week. This game's going to be fun. I can't believe I'm saying this game's going to be fun. The Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the real game of the week this week.
It is.
Jaguars defense has looked good. Eagles defense has looked better in some circumstances.
Doug Peterson's coming back to play his old team.
Right? Like, there are so many fun storylines going into this game. I think the Eagles win. I don't think they win handedly, but I think they win enough where I feel confident in starting the Eagles defense this week over the Jaguars defense.
Absolutely.
That's fair.
I agree.
Because I'm seeing both defenses getting picked up, and if I had to make a decision on, which side do I lean, I'll go with the Eagles.
Yep,
Wow.
I would agree.
Have you ever seen that? The opponent rank when the team playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, the opponent rank for the Jaguars offense, I mean, it's first.
Yeah, I know.
They're so good. LA put up -6 points against them in our league last week.
Oh, I know. I started LA. Woo! In a league. Not in our league. In a league. That's brutal.
Something else, I will tell you that. But no, I mean, Eagles put up double-digit points in the past 2 weeks defensively in normal scoring settings. Yeah.
If they can get me 6 points, I'll take that usually out of a defense.
Yep.
Let's talk about the Jaguars offense, though, right? Like, the defense aside for the Eagles, what can we really expect out of Christian Kirk, who I think is a top 15 wide receiver? James Robinson. No, you don't. What has Christian Kirk done to
top 15?
Yes.
I mean, he's been really good. I don't know if he...
What, because Slay?
No,
I can understand Slay being the
because
concern.
he has 3 touchdowns through 3 games, and I don't know if that's sustainable for him.
Why not? He's the number one guy on this offense.
Against the best defense.
I can understand Slay. If you said Darius Slay, I'd say, all right, I get it. Right?
I think that's
Say Darius Slay.
Darius Slay.
All right, I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can understand him
And
not being a top 15 guy then. But I think that, for me, he is. For me, he is this week. We'll talk about the running back position really quickly here, though. James Robinson, start.
Yep.
Travis Etienne, sit. This is a real concern. Talk about Mooney. I think Travis Etienne's another guy we have to talk about right now.
Yeah. He's not a drop yet.
No. He's fine, but he's just not really startable. I mean, he's a
high-end RB3.
Yeah, you can put him, again, like Jack, you like to talk about your 10-point-a-game guys in that RB2 spot. He's around there.
Yeah.
You know,
if you have a superstar. If you have Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Exactly. He's a very low end. He's a startable.
Yeah.
He's startable, but you're going to put him in your lineup and you're not going to feel excited about doing it.
He had 13 carries last week, though. That's a really decent amount of carries.
Was it because of garbage time, though?
It was because of garbage time because the game script was positively in that team's favor.
And I don't know if that's going to happen this week.
It's not going to happen this week, which is why he'll ride the bench this week. But against Houston, very easily could happen. Against Philadelphia or against Indianapolis the next week, very easily. It might be tight, but it could happen. Against New York the next week, could easily happen.
Which New York?
Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
the Jets. The Jets would kick
all of those we could see increased carries for Travis Etienne. I'm not out on him yet. I won't be out on him until about week 8-ish if I ever do fall.
Jets play the Jaguars Thursday Night Football, December 23rd.
Oh, that's not going to be fun to
week
watch.
16.
There you go. It's gonna be a matchup. I can say that much. All right, we have 6 games to get through. Probably 5 minutes to do it. Let's speed round. Panthers taking on the Cardinals. I wanted to talk about this game too. There's storylines for both sides in this one. Because Dortch, I have above Allen Robinson this week.
That's fair.
You liked my tweet. I saw it. Thank
Yep.
you.
You're welcome.
I do. I mean,
Yep.
I do. You got to
I
look
agree.
at the
I
consistency
agree.
that Dortch is really giving
Until
you.
Rondale Moore comes back, Dortch is a
my
good
God,
is a guy
enough
who can
with that.
start.
Remember what I said earlier in the show? The amount of receivers this year who are going to average between 10 and 20 points
And Dortch is one
ridiculous.
of those guys.
And Dortch is going to be right there with like 13 or 14 a week, and he's going to wind up being like the wide receiver 30 after week 5. When Hopkins comes back, it's all out the window. But the next 2 weeks, he's a start for me.
I don't think Hopkins is very good anymore, but okay.
That's a conversation for
Okay,
another day.
Okay.
Rondale Moore is going to be the wide receiver.
All right, I
one
think
there.
we all have differing views on the Cardinals' offense, but when it comes to the Panthers, I think we're all in agreement right now.
DJ Moore.
that everyone sucks.
I am starting in our league.
Christian
That I
McCaffrey?
that I have Thielen, that I have Greg Dortch and Zay Jones in. I'm starting them all over DJ Moore this week.
Yep. I would too.
Baker Mayfield looks so bad.
I think
DJ Moore is open on multiple routes, and Baker misses him. It's terrible.
have we
So
considered that
when do you
it's-
start DJ Moore?
the issue is the
Because-
Panthers coaching staff and not the quarterback? Like Sam Darnold was atrocious last
Those
year.
are both bad quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think you're just
though.
looking at two pretty mediocre quarterbacks.
I mean,
Yeah.
Arizona's
I don't
had
know,
a
Baker was
very
decent.
solid defense. San Francisco next week, LA the week after that, Tampa Bay the week after that for DJ Moore. If you can trade DJ Moore for anything at this point, go do it.
Yeah.
I'll trade you Robert Woods for DJ Moore.
I might actually have to consider that.
Okay.
We'll talk
about
after the
that.
show.
We'll talk about that. We got to get to the Bills versus the Ravens, another game that I think is going to be awesome. Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen. What? I don't understand why all these games have to happen at 12.
Yeah.
Like, you're giving me too many good games at 12 now. I
Yeah.
got to pick which ones to watch.
Phenomenal.
Ravens side of the ball, J.K. Dobbins finally came back last week. Do we expect an increase in the workload this week, or is it going to be a slow, steady ramp?
It will be, but I think right now we're still looking at pretty slow, steady uptick. I think, halfway through the season, I think definitely he's someone that I'm going to feel confident starting. Until then, we're going to see. I'm going to need to see it a little bit before I believe it. He's only a desperation play at this point. I'm keeping him on my bench. Even I'm starting Chase Edmonds over him.
Yeah, that's fair. Bills, though, it feels like there's a revolving... Like, Josh Allen has so many options that he can go to.
Isaiah McKenzie, man. Whew.
Yeah, but
Set up
before
big.
that, he didn't do anything when I actually needed
Yep.
him, and I started him. He didn't do anything.
Yep.
Gabe Davis, he was limited on Wednesday in practice with an ankle injury. It looks like he's going to end up playing, though. There's just a lot of guys. As much as you love having a piece of one of the best offenses in the NFL, it kind of sucks because,
Same with the Chiefs.
there's so many guys there that it's like, man, I don't even know who to start.
Yep.
I'm still starting, obviously, Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, but when it comes to guys like McKenzie, I don't know if he does that again like that. Could be Crowder this week. Could be Dawson Knox, 2 touchdowns this week, who I just saw was dropped to one of my leagues. It could be one of the running backs. Maybe they get Singletary or Moss more involved in the receiving game, or even James Cook. I don't know.
I don't even know if I'm starting Gabe Davis. I'm going to be honest.
Gabe Davis is still top 24 for me this week.
Oh, no way.
Top 24.
No way.
Yes.
You were the one who
It's a bit
just
high.
said for him to be a top 24 wide receiver, you have to drop someone. I would put DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett above Gabe Davis. No question.
That's just a little
I'm
deep.
kind
No.
of with Lukas on this one.
Yeah.
What?
Absolutely.
There
Gabe
you-
Davis doesn't have more than 6 targets in a game. He's questionable too.
I'm starting Gabe Davis this week.
You're welcome to. You can get the 2 points.
2 points.
Oh. I'm just kidding.
We'll say 5.
5. 5 I think is pretty solid.
5?
5 to 10.
Says the person starting Zay Jones and Dortch.
Oh, wow.
That Gabe
I'd
Davis
start
gonna
them
get 5.
both over
Wow.
Gabriel Davis this week.
Wow.
Wouldn't you?
Both? Definitely not Zay Jones.
You would start Dortch over
we-
Davis?
we
I guess
didn't-
that's a decision
We
I
didn't
actually
talk
could
about
make.
Zay Jones when we got to the Jaguars. Can we talk about Zay Jones?
All right, we're
Sure,
running
because
out of
we
time.
have 4 games, but let's talk about Zay Jones.
He had 25 points last week. We have to
Yeah,
talk
I know.
about him. He had
Yeah,
10
I want
catches,
to talk about Matt
11
Collins, but we don't have time for that
11
either. With
targets.
29
Yeah,
points
Matt
last
Collins is good. I like Matt Collins. If Hunter Renfro's out, Matt Collins
Max,
is
uh,
out.
I don't think
Renfro didn't-
Renfro's going to
I
be
would
out.
start Matt Collins over
He
Gabe
didn't
Davis
practice
if
on Wednesday.
Renfro's out.
But it's concussion. He has 2 more days. If he practices one of the 2 days, he's going to play.
Collins is also... I mean, I literally in one league picked up Zay Jones, Dortch, Collins, Richie J. I picked up all 4 for my bench. If you look at my bench, it's all 4 of those guys.
That's awesome.
Someone's going to stick.
Yep.
Someone's going to stick
Someone
and
will.
someone's going to hit. Man, all right. When it comes to the Raiders, yes, Hunter Renfro's status still in question for Sunday. If he were to miss, Matt Collins, top 40, top 35 option at the wide receiver position. For the Denver Broncos, I don't want to start Russ. I don't want to start Russ.
I mean, I will against the Raiders because
You're
the
gonna have
Raiders
to start
defense has been
Russ.
atrocious, but if he's bad this week, he's either riding my bench or getting dropped.
let's ride the bench. Because
Let's ride.
I really don't want to
That's
start
right.
Russ. I don't want to start him.
I've got
still
Trevor
start
Lawrence
Sutton.
on my bench. I'm starting T-Loss.
People are dropping Jerry Jeudy. People are done. What is that?
That's our 2-minute
Oh,
warning.
I thought you meant like Jerry Jeudy.
Oh, I thought we were over already. Woohoo! We're actually doing better than I thought.
Yeah.
Jerry Judy's being dropped. I'm not dropping Jerry Jeudy. Honestly, I think the Broncos can figure it out as an offense. It's a new quarterback, new system, new team.
New coach.
I'm happy to. I'll pick up Jerry Jeudy for scraps if that's what we're looking at. If he's available right now.
Darnell Mooney or Jerry Jeudy?
Jerry Jeudy. That's someone
All
that
right.
I'm look. Yes, that's
I'd
someone
agree.
that I would look to get for on the low. On the low. Patriots taking on the Packers. That should be a shellacking. Quite easily, the Packers should run them over. A.J. Dillon's a start for me this week.
Yep.
A.J. Dillon's one of my favorite buy low running backs. Also, Javonte Williams from that last game, another one of my favorite buy low running backs.
Agreed.
Two guys that I think are in timeshares, but should be receiving a little bit more volume. And I think their efficiency will both go up, and the touchdowns will go up for both of them as well as we see the season move on. For the Patriots, you're not starting anyone. Maybe
No.
Harris, because they're going to need to keep the ball on the ground. Maybe Stevenson if extremely desperate. But you can't trust anyone on this Patriots offense this week.
Nope.
Sorry about it. Gotta
I mean,
keep moving there.
Jacoby Myers is a
No.
possibility just because
Barely
if
a
he
top
plays.
50 wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that take. He's someone, again, a desperation play just because he's the one receiver there where you're like, he's going to get some level of volume.
Chiefs taking on the Bucks. Ugh, I have Mahomes in so many leagues, and he has to face the Bucks defense. I don't know how I feel. It's a Sunday night football game though, so
Mahomes Brady always tends to be
I know it should be good.
game.
I think this will be a good one. Clyde, I don't have as much faith in. You know, they're still committed to
7
someone.
attempts, 0 rushing yards.
There's still someone committed to that committee there, and tough defense in Tampa Bay. I think he's outside the RB2 range for this week.
That's
Still
fair.
startable. Just because he's scoring.
Yeah.
He's scoring still. So
The thing that's been so good about Clyde this year, they're getting him the
catching the
ball
ball.
through in the receiving game. He's getting targets, he's getting receptions, and that keeps him startable, especially now week in and week out.
So Clyde, borderline RB2 this week. Not someone I'm a huge fan of starting. For the Bucks, Brady, another guy like borderline top 12 quarterback.
No, not startable.
Oh, okay.
Tom Brady is not startable.
Okay. Well,
He's not
Evans,
startable.
Evans will be back,
And Godwin might be back.
and Julio's gonna play.
Okay,
He's fine.
maybe then he's possible.
Yeah,
He's
I was
fine.
gonna say
Yeah.
things. I was about to literally say things are trending in the right direction for the team.
He hasn't had receivers the past 3 weeks. He's
Yeah,
fine.
but man.
If he can have Evans, Russell Gage, and Julio Jones, I think he's gonna be okay.
Yeah. We'll
He
see.
was thrown to Cole Beasley, who
Yeah,
got picked up
come
off the
on.
street last week.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. I think Brady's someone. I think those guys. I think obviously you're starting Evans, Julio Jones. We'll see what other option. I mean, would you start Julio Jones or Dortch if you had the choices? between the
Depends
two?
on if Godwin's going. It depends on a lot of
Julio
factors
Jones'
there.
status, health-wise.
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume that he does play this week.
If he plays and he practices tomorrow and
Godwin
he's ready to
doesn't
go,
play.
and Godwin doesn't play, I'd probably go Jones.
Okay. Last game, Monday night, 49ers get the prime time again. It's them taking on the Los Angeles Rams. I said it earlier, I slayed a gun. I have Dortch above Allen Robinson this week.
Agreed.
I do.
I'd agree.
Allen Robinson, another guy that if you picked him, you're now stuck on this roller coaster. I think if you want to get off, you either get off now and you sell low, or you just take a chance, wait for that time that he has another 15 plus points, and then you get off.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you would
Hopefully he
even
gets
still have to sell a little bit low at that point from the value that you drafted him at, but I mean, I'm not loving what I'm seeing really out of this. The whole offense is just, I'm telling you, it's a Super Bowl hangover. I've been saying it. Like,
Yep.
this team looks like it has a Super Bowl hangover right now, all across the board. So,
Yep.
Rams offense, I mean, Cooper Kupp is still Cooper Kupp, and the backfield, Cam Akers is overtaking Terrell Henderson
Clearly.
right now. It's still fumbling, but he's scoring a touchdown. So you like to see that. For the 49ers, I mean, Kittle had a disappointing week, but I mean, he's just getting back into the swing of things, and it's really going to come down to Garoppolo with this offense. How good are they going to be? Because they're only as good as he is going to be.
I just want Debo. I just want to see a ceiling from Debo. It just feels like he disappears in games where they just don't. They really try for a short stretch of time to get him the ball in every facet possible, and then they just stop.
But it works when they do it. So
I know.
I don't know why they stop.
We're going to see a ceiling from Debo. I know we will. Debo's going to be good. He's going to be fine. If this is his floor, then Debo's going to have a phenomenal season.
Yes, and it's Monday night game, prime time, divisional matchup. You have to hope that you're going to see some
I'm
fireworks.
going to be
in this game.
screaming at the TV for Debo, baby.
Should be a good one. And that's going to do it for us here at the Fantasy Football Laboratory. Appreciate you all for joining us. Of course, be sure to follow us on Twitter at FF Laboratory and on TikTok at FF Laboratory. And join our Chalkboard. We just partnered with Chalkboard.
Yeah.
Great time to plug it right now. It's like Discord, but for sports only. We have channels in there that you can use for roster evaluations and trade help and start-sit advice, and a channel just for injury reports and announcements, and of course the podcast. You'll be able to find that on there. And it'll have a link eventually to Underdog. And if you sign up for Underdog right now using code FFLAB, they will match your initial deposit up to $100. So great deals across the board for us right now for you guys. Hope you enjoy it. For the chemist Jack McGrath, Spitfire Lucas Parrish, I'm the King of Trade, Shane Palma. Have a great day.